The last day dawns on the kingdom of Ascalon. It arrives with no fanfare, no tolling of alarms. Those who will remember will speak fondly of the warm morning breeze. People carry on with their daily lives, unaware that in a short while, everything they have ever known will come to an end.
Scribe,
Yes, my lord.
these Char are relentless, but we shall hold the wall at all costs.
Yes, my lord.
Take this message to Sir Titus. Go forth and recruit the strongest, the smartest. Bring to me the bravest in all of Ascalon. Find me the heroes who will lead our kingdom to glory.
As you command, my king.
Guild Wars, for those unaware, and I mean if you're probably watching something like this, you are aware, is an online RPG game released back in 2005 by ArenaNet. I've always tried to remind myself not to upset anyone on the internet that Guild Wars is in fact technically not an MMORPG, but more of an online RPG. I know that led to quite a few interesting discussions back in school. The fact that it was released back in 2005 doesn't make you feel old. The game's 17 years old now, which I know for me seems ridiculous. I was still playing this back in secondary school with my friends, and to think now I'm 30 years old, still playing it a little bit actually. And to me it's a game that's aged very well. I was first introduced to Guild Wars back in I think it was late 2005, so it was about 3 to 4 months before the Factions expansion came out, so it was just the standalone game, later known as Prophecies, was out, and I think it was a friend of mine who had recommended World of Warcraft to me, but I think back in the time I just wasn't the game for me, and then I remember getting it, starting it, opening up the initial scene where you're in the pre-searing, and just after a few hours of playing it, falling in love with the world, the sort of characters, the story. Although in hindsight it's not the strongest suit of the game, but there was just something unique and different about it that just drew me in right from the beginning. And the fact that the pre-searing area was only just really meant to be a tutorial area sort of blew my mind about how much more the game had to offer, because I thought that area was fairly expansive. Although in hindsight, maybe not so much. Then over the next few months, I remember speaking with my cousins about it and a few school friends, and we were anticipating the release of Factions at the time. I think back then we had a school trip to Scotland, and we'd all saved up, went to a local game shop and bought it there, and I think that's where were probably the heavy years as such of me playing through the game, just from Factions onward for years on end. Not only personally for me was the story a strong suit of the game, and to be honest, even the graphics, even looking back now, I think it's aged fairly well for a game released over 17 years ago. I think it holds up very strong. But for me, the community was a massive strong suit of the game, both in the people you had made and help out, and it just felt like a much different community than I'd ever had playing any games online. And I mean, this was compared to playing Counter-Strike and Dead Defeat Source as a kid and having abuse hurled at you down the microphone, so it was certainly a breath of fresh air. Not only that, the musical elements of it were fantastic. So I guess if you've played anything like Skyrim, you'll be well aware of like the soundtrack by Jeremy Soule in the game, which is just phenomenal. Going back, recreating a character in Prophecies at the very start and hearing that music as you first come into the game still gives me this sort of nostalgic feeling of the past. The music still puts a smile on my face to this day. I can speak probably for hours and hours around each of the games and the expansions, from Prophecies to Factions, Nightfall to Eye of the North. All the great people I met over the years, hours of fun I had. To me it was more than just a game. It was sort of not only a place to escape, but to relax and somewhere that was safe. So I guess being bullied a bit through my early school years, there are many times that I guess I didn't really look forward to Sunday ending, having to go back to school, but having this other world to escape into, place to hang out with some friends from school afterwards was sort of my saving grace. And it was like much more than just a video game. Over the last few years I've probably got back more into retro gaming, I would say. So games I both played as a kid and those I probably just didn't have the opportunity or the money to actually play back then. And then over the past few years I'd seen a few updates crop up from Guild Wars, and then there was one probably a couple of years ago now where they'd updated some of the graphical settings and put a bit of work into it. And the fact that there's still a couple of developers looking after and keeping it running was just a great thing. And the fact that this game is still running, and to an extent there's somewhat of an active community. Honestly, at this stage I don't think I can really put into words how much like Guild Wars has meant to me over the years, and you know what it's done for my life and how enjoyable it's been. To this day, it still remains one of my favourite games of all time. And hopefully this doesn't sound like a terrible zombie love letter, but yeah, it's a fantastic game still to this day. And I would just urge people, if you played it in the past, just to give it another try, hop back in. Yeah, hopefully see you there. Until the next one.